Here are some really simple instructions on how to draw a simple Victorian style house. I'm going to start with a base shape, a rectangle or a square, and I just used this little folded in half piece of scrap paper to show myself where I'm going to put that initial rectangle. And you don't have to have it square on the paper every time. If it's off a little bit and a little wonky, it gives it that kind of funky look. If you try to make everything super perfect, you'll drive yourself crazy every time. So this is going to be the basic shape of the main part of your house. You're going to keep things symmetrical by dividing them into thirds or fourths. All Victorian houses have columns on the front, and this is where you're going to start your columns. So I've chosen to make this front of my house in thirds. So I'm just going to generally divide this into thirds. Again, that's crooked and wonky, and that's okay. We put little caps on the pillars, and that gives us a little dividing line between the roof, between the porch and the area where the door is. And my hand gets dirty. You can put a little piece of paper under there if you want to. So you're going to draw the columns, the caps on top. 1, 2, 3. I can put the door anywhere, the windows anywhere. It's up to you. Over the section where I'm putting the door, I'm going to put a very tall, peaked sort of roof line. And we're going to add details beneath to sort of raise this and then lower the other two sections. So it'll make the other sections look a little bit lower. We're going to put a little bit of woodwork, stick detail under that. And you can just insert any simple shape. You could make little spindles. And remember, if you're going to color this, you're going to need to make your shapes and lines solid so that you have places to put your color or your shading. If you make everything just one single line, you have nothing to fill in. Keep it balanced and symmetrical. I'm going to kind of put the same sort of pattern on the other side. Again, I'm not measuring anything. If you try to make it perfect, you drive yourself insane. You know, a lot of Victorian houses, or all Victorian houses, have this sort of detail woodwork, sort of gingerbread. And a lot of them have the starburst feature, which I'm going to use a lot in this. You want to have repetition. Repetition will give your design some unity. So I'm going to use that starburst in several areas. Another characteristic of Victorian houses is that they all have a window over the front door. I'm going to put a window right here, working my way down from the top, kind of from the center out. And I'm going to repeat that sort of starburst pattern inside this window. Okay. Victorian houses also have porches, and porches have railings so that you don't fall off. I'm going to repeat this here, this little starburst area. I could put it in these corners too, but then, you know, it kind of would get kind of crowded up there. So I'm going to leave those two areas blank. Give myself a little more room there for windows. I better finish these down here again. I'm going to divide this into thirds or quarters. I have a little more space here, so I'm going to divide it into quarters. And just draw the spindles for the porch there as well. You can add any kind of detail you want here. You can add more of the starburst pattern if you want to in the corners. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. Now I'm going to put my door in my center section. Doors are rectangles and you want to frame it. Again, it gives you an area to add an extra color or some shading. And put the doorknob in first. These Victorian doors have glass panes in them. They all do. If you draw the glass pane first, sometimes you have to go back and erase because you forget to put the doorknob in there. Add these other two cool little things here. Little extra windows, put a little frame inside the oval. My friend Debbie's door has these funky cranes. It's like a stained glass door. So I'm going to add a funky crane in the middle. A little abstract bird. Doesn't have to look realistic. People get the idea. So I'm going to put some half circle windows above the square windows in each side. I'm going to kind of line it up over here. Oh, I got that wrong. That's okay though. It gives it that funky look. A little off-center. Gives it a little personality too. Kind of looks like eyes and a guy wearing a hat. Put some squares. Now there's a couple of different things you can do for the windows. You can put in extra lines and make panes. On this one though, I'm going to put some curtains, and you just put some little buttoned shapes on the side. Add your curtains. There you go. You could put somebody standing in there too. Whatever you want inside, or just leave it blank. On the other side, I'm going to put a shade and draw the frame around. Don't forget to draw your frame. Double up your lines, give you some space. I'm going to put a little pull shade, a little string with a ring on it. I really like that. Gives it a little cartoony look. You could like pull it down, pull it up, however. Victorian houses are up off the ground. They have a crawl space underneath, so you need to add some steps and just make a series of long rectangles coming out from the bottom of the door, bigger as they get towards the ground, and then you can extend your ground out from the side. And then the house is floating in air, so you need to put some stilts of some sort. I'm going to finish the roof. I like to put a little porthole window in the top, give it a frame. And you can have vertical, horizontal, or diagonal little slats in it, however you want. Put diagonal here. And then some vertical lines to show some paneling or some siding. Divide it in half, divide it in half again, divide it in half again. Lets you keep things nice and spaced out if you just divide the areas in half and in half again. You don't have to measure. If you start from one side and go to the other, you sometimes don't end up with an even amount, or they're sort of oddly spaced. Now, where you put your second roof line is really up to you, but you want to have that peak extending up above, and then we're going to angle the side of this roof out. You can make it square if you want to, but if you sort of repeat the slope of that middle, we're going to put some gingerbread shingles across the top, and mark where I'm going to put the shingles, divide in half and divide in half again. So I'll have 4 rows of shingles, and you just draw a little pointy wave line across. Do it on both sides, and it should pretty much match up. And then you can add your second level if you want to. I mean, you can keep it 1 story if you like. Up here, if you didn't want to put a second story, you could put a tree, you know, some clouds, whatever you want. But we're going to put a small second story on the top. Let's start with a rectangle. Oh, that line's really crooked. I don't care. Put a roof on it. Kind of echoes the bottom roof. Repetition is good. I'm going to give this one some straight lines. Kind of maybe a metal roof. Who knows? Make some long rectangular windows, repeating the shape that's above the door. And repeat the sunburst. I'm doing these more quickly than below. I would double the lines before I painted these. I'll put a frame around both windows. It unites the top, lets us know it's 1 room and not 2. I gotta sharpen my pencil. Off to the side, I'm gonna put a little balcony. It's gonna kind of have a little sunburst corner, add the railings. Double my line so I have something to fill in, to paint, and add a little shed roof over the top. You want to make it look different than the other roof so it doesn't look like a mistake. I'm going to repeat that capped column from the bottom. A little starburst on the roof there. Lets you know it's kind of going in the opposite direction. I'm going to add the 2 windows, 2 more full-size windows underneath the small windows. Double my line so I have a place to put shading or an extra color, or just for detail. You don't always have to add double colors. I'm going to repeat my little drapery from the bottom. Real easy to do. And you could put a child's face poking out or a pie sitting in the window. It's the little details, the little personal things that make it yours, make it fun. Now it's lopsided. The porch on the right-hand side kind of makes the top of the house look like it's just going to tip over. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to add a cat. These funny little wine bottle cats with their tails, little feet. I think I'll add a chimney. Draw cats while you're wondering what else you should put. Every house needs a cat. I'm going to balance this out so it doesn't fall over. I'm going to add a chimney on this side. And again, we're not using any sort of perspective here. So just use the idea of the capped column there to top off your chimney and put some smoke coming out of it. Now it's balanced. It's not going to fall over. You have equal amounts of things going on the left and the right. And a little bit of erasing there at the end. And we're done. You can ink this, you can watercolor it, you can leave it just the way it is. It's yours now, so have fun.